This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Reed Gregory.
And I'm Zoe Jones. A down-to-the-wire deal in Washington will keep the federal government open, at least temporarily. A stopgap bill passed both the House and the Senate with bipartisan support and was signed late last night by President Biden.
Bradley Blackburn has more on how the deal came together.
The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
A government shutdown that seemed all but certain was narrowly avoided Saturday. A bipartisan federal spending plan will keep the government funded at current levels for 45 days.
It's been a day full of twists and turns, but the American people can breathe a sigh of relief. There will be no government shutdown.
President Biden signed the bill just before a midnight deadline when federal agencies could have been forced to close and critical employees and members of the military asked to work without pay.
We went from devastating cuts that would have impacted the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people in 24 hours to a spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people.
To reach a deal, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy turned to Democrats after he couldn't secure support from hard-right members of his own party. But the funding fight will now continue.
I asked Congress, we'll stay in session the next 2 weeks, continue to work to get this done.
The plan does not include additional aid to Ukraine, a priority for the White House that growing numbers of GOP lawmakers oppose.
I'm confident the Senate will pass further urgent assistance to Ukraine later this year.
The deal funds the government until November 17th. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
In a statement, President Biden said the deal is good news for the American people, but he did urge Congress to approve additional support for Ukraine.
And well, today is the first day of October, but it sure doesn't feel like it out there. It's time to check in with First Alert Storm Team's Shelby Ebertowski for a look at those current conditions. Shelby?
Well, Zoe and Reed, although it may look like fall outside, it definitely doesn't feel like it now. We're starting to get a bit of a calmer wind for most of us here in the valley, but for our peak temperatures today, it was a warm one here in Fargo. We beat our record with our temperatures today, getting to 96 degrees. Our previous record was 92, set in 1992. But then even in Grand Forks, you tied your record at 92 degrees, 94 for our peak temperatures down in Siston. Whereas for some of our current temperatures, we're still sitting in those 80s, 82 here in Fargo, 79 in Grand Forks, still on the cooler side with 66 up in Langdon. But to go along with all those temperatures, we have another warm day tomorrow, and we're already sitting on the warmer side, sitting 14 degrees warmer than what we were just 24 hours yesterday, 12 degrees warmer in Grand Forks, 11 in Detroit Lakes, still with a fog advisory for most of us for our morning hours. Now, right now, we just have a dense fog advisory for Rowlett County, but we are going to see more areas of some fog tomorrow morning, especially near the Ramsey County area, stretching through Pembina and Cavalier County as well, causing some visibility issues as you are headed out to work tomorrow morning. But otherwise, that fog will continue to diminish tomorrow as we're going to have another warm day, still with those southerly winds, with right now those winds gusting up to 24 miles an hour. But Zoe and Reed, it's going to be another warm day tomorrow, but we do have some more fall temperatures coming up in the forecast, and I'll tell you that in just a few moments.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Shelby. Well, just when you thought the dog days of summer were behind us, comes a day like today. At Twin Cities Harvest Festival and Maze, festival goers said it was hard to enjoy the festival today because of the heat wave that we're experiencing.
I really want sweaters and hoodies and hot cocoa and hot cider, but that's not happening today. The corn maze is always a hit with us, but it's kind of hot in there.
Now, several festival goers said that while it was still nice to be able to get out and explore the grounds today, they may want to try coming back next weekend.
And the Twin Cities Marathon was canceled today due to the unseasonably hot weather. Temperatures were expected to reach the upper 80s, leading to EAS black flag conditions, despite monitoring forecasts and getting more medical support and first responders for the event.
Race organizers said it was not confident runners would be safe and canceled the 2023 Medtronic Twin Cities Marathon and the TC 10-mile races just hours before their start time. Officials said that rescheduling the race would not be possible due to the size of the marathon and all the resources needed to make it happen. Over 20,000 people were registered to run today, and even with the race not going on as planned, that didn't stop some runners from hitting the pavement.
Switching gears, authorities are investigating after a teenager was fatally shot this week in northern Minnesota. According to Roseau County Sheriff's Office, the incident happened around 3:30 a.m. on Monday at a residence in rural Roosevelt. A 17-year-old boy and 15-year-old girl were both hit by the same gunshot. The boy died at the scene and the girl was taken to a Fargo hospital.
The girl's condition has not yet been released. Officials say as of now there is no danger to the public. The Roseau Sheriff's Department and Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are currently investigating the incident.
Tens of millions of Americans with federal student loans will have to resume making payments starting today.
About 1 out of every 8 Americans owes money on their student loans. Borrowers have had a financial reprieve for more than 3 years as a pandemic-era repayment pause was extended multiple times. But now more than 40 million people must face a new reality amid nagging inflation and rising interest rates.
Now, collectively, those borrowers owe approximately $1.6 trillion in student loans. Now, the Biden administration tried to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for eligible borrowers. However, the program was struck down by the Supreme Court in June.
And with so much legislation coming down this weekend, all eyes are on Washington, but it's not just lawmakers making the trip to Capitol Hill.
More than 100 North Dakota veterans got a hero's welcome to our nation's capital just this morning. They were on the Western North Dakota Honor Flight. They spent the day and they'll be spending tomorrow touring the city.
All branches of the military are represented on this trip. Most of the veterans served in Vietnam. A few also served in Korea. Baltimore veteran Joe Short was the first to welcome the vets to D.C. He's been greeting honor flights for the past 15 years.
Because we like to meet wonderful people and appreciate them, what they've done.
The veterans will make stops at the Vietnam, Korea, and Lincoln memorials. They did that this afternoon. They plan to do the Arlington National Cemetery tomorrow.
Ukraine is paying tribute to fallen soldiers today to mark the newly introduced Defenders Day.
President Zelensky marched to the memory wall where he laid flowers alongside other officials. Traffic came to a standstill throughout Kiev, and people gathered in the Maidan Square for a moment of silence, with many holding photos of fallen loved ones.
Others could be seen laying flowers amid thousands of flags placed in memory for members of the armed forces who have died fighting for the country. Defenders Day replaces the former Defender of the Fatherland Day, a holiday that was traditionally observed in February.
Former President Jimmy Carter turns 99 years old today. President Biden sent birthday wishes to the longest living U.S. president in history in a video posted to X, formerly known as Twitter. The president wearing a 99 Jimmy Carter baseball cap to mark the occasion and expressing his admiration for the country's 39th president.
Fans began celebrating a day early. The official birthday bash at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum in Atlanta actually rescheduled all of their festivities to Saturday instead of today because of the threat of a looming government shutdown. It remains to be seen where Carter himself will be blowing out his birthday candles.
Officers with the Bismarck Police Department will start wearing body cameras beginning tomorrow. The City Commission approved body camera funding for the 2023 budget cycle, and the department has been working throughout the entire year to purchase equipment and develop policies for camera use. The department will also be adding new in-car and interview room cameras.
The Minnesota fall turkey hunting season kicked off yesterday, September 30th, and runs through Sunday, October 29th. Now, hunters are allowed to take one turkey of either sex during the fall season. Fall turkey hunters may use a crossbow, a firearm, or archery equipment, whatever they prefer. Now, fall turkey licenses are available for purchase online, by telephone, or in person, anywhere Minnesota DNR licenses are sold.
Starting tomorrow, payment plans and energy assistance will be available to Minnesotans to help heat their homes throughout the winter.
The state's cold weather rule protects Minnesotans who have trouble paying for their heating bill. It runs from October 1st of this year through April 30th of next year. For more information about the cold weather rule, you can go to our website, valleynewslive.com. And for all of you rock and roll fans, don't forget that Nickelback will be taking on the Fargo Dome this Thursday, October 5th. Make sure to grab your tickets if you haven't already.
Later on Valley News Live, the Powerball jackpot pushed past the $1 billion mark. We'll have the details in just a few minutes.
And it was another breezier day today with some peak gusts getting up to 30 miles an hour in Grand Forks, 39 here in Fargo, with our morning temperatures today only getting into those 50s and 60s, with another warmer day for most of us tomorrow, waking up in those 60s. But don't go anywhere because I'll have your full forecast for you coming up next.